Down the road a piece, in the vicinity of the site for Chugiak Elementary School, Ginny and Andrew Kirk were getting settled in and preparing to become a part of a close-knit rural community. Virginia Search arrived in Seward, Alaska in 1953, where she taught at the Jesse Lee home for 2 years before returning to her native Indiana. However, Alaska must have gotten under her skin because she returned once again in 1958 to teach 6th grade at the little elementary school in Chugiak, which at the time was still a territorial school. She experienced her first plane ride and flew into Elmendorf Air Force Base, as the new airport in Anchorage was not yet completed. In the meantime, Andy was busy eating up the road miles from Florida, where he had gotten his master's degree in teaching, to Alaska, the last frontier. This speaks to the spirit of adventure prevalent within Andy, as the journey was long and rugged and things seldom went smoothly on the Alcan. Andy's choice of schools in Alaska was Bettles or Chugiak, and lucky for us, he chose Chugiak. Ginny and Andy met there as teachers, and it must have been something akin to love at first sight, as they married in December of that first year. Ginny retired in 1959 to give birth to Kenneth, the first of their 4 children. During this time, as did most of the school staff, they resided in one of the buildings located across the Glen Highway from the school. This was the building that also doubled as the local library. Although the Kirks enjoyed their life in Chugiak, Andy was obligated to teach in Moose Pass for 2.5 years. Ginny has no fond remembrance of those years, as their oldest daughter Cassie was just a tiny baby and they had no running water, lived in the schoolhouse, and electricity and heat could be sporadic. This truly rustic way of life was short-lived, however, as they packed up and headed to the Virgin Islands, where Andy taught for 1 year. Then it was back to Indiana, where Andy taught Indiana history, and daughter Sarah was born. In 1964, Andy arrived back in Alaska to complete work on the house he had started and worked on sporadically while living in Moose Pass. Their new log home on the hill above Swanee Slopes was completed that same year, and Ginny and the kids returned to Alaska for good. Their third and last daughter, Hannah, was born shortly after. The high school that area residents had fought long and hard for opened its doors in the fall of 1964, and Andy enthusiastically settled himself amidst the books, maps, new desks, and colorful teaching aids of the school's social studies department. Andy quickly became an energetic and integral part of the school, where he implemented or supported many school or community-related activities through the years. Andy supported the Chubergelstead Winterfest by lending his services wherever needed in the various skiing, sledding, skating, and snowshoeing contests. Stew and Fun Day, one of the community's favorite social events throughout the 1960s, was a brainchild of Andy's. This popular event was held at the high school and consisted of numerous family-oriented games and activities being held in various areas or rooms of the building. Stew and side dishes to complement were served all day long in the cafeteria. Prices were nominal, and people found this an especially appealing diversion from the cold winter doldrums, as well as an excellent way to entertain a family on a budget. Andy started the Century Club, which was geared to encourage students with an enthusiasm for bike riding. Although this was an informal activity not officially sanctioned by the school, meetings were held after school there, and it became a club recognized in the yearbook as well. Miles were logged, goals set and reached, and enthusiasm kept high with recognition of personal achievements and fun activities. An in-school activity innovated by Andy was Wacko Decathlon. Andy persuaded the powers that be to set aside part of one school day in the spring in order to let classes compete against one another in various track and field events. It earned the name Wacko because many of the events are a whacked-out version of true decathlon events. This in-school event was found to generate school pride and class spirit, and is still one of the most popular activities within Chugiak High School today. Andy also coached cross-country running and track for many years. In recognition of the problem of housing students from the bush, Andy devoted countless hours to the boarding home program. This program helped to locate suitable temporary homes for these students who were so far away from home. He also devoted time to a program called Alaska UN. This program sought to enlighten and educate high school students regarding the importance and influence of the United Nations within the world. In 1980, Ginny and Andy decided to participate in a teacher exchange program and soon were bundled off to Australia, where the entire family spent a year getting to know more about the Australian culture and way of life. Of course, they passed on information about their life and activities in Alaska as well. Upon returning to Chugiak, Ginny and Andy returned to their jobs and various activities. As years rolled by, Andy became an institution within Chugiak High School, but it didn't stop there. He was constantly seeking ways to make the school a part of the community and the community a part of the school. One of the ways that he managed to blend the two was by creating the Chugiak Alumni Association. This group became a way for former classmates to keep in touch with the school and with one another. Under Andy's guidance, the Alumni Association became a source of information for anyone who sought to organize a class reunion. One fun and unique happening engineered by Andy and the Alumni Association was a picture-taking session at the school for all local alumni and their own graduating Chugiak High School students. These pictures were then featured in the yearbook. While Andy was busy devoting much of his time to school activities, family activities were important too. For many years, Jenny and Andy built an ice rink in their own backyard for the neighborhood kids to use and enjoy. They dug hockey pucks out of the berm each spring. A portion of their basement was converted into a gym, complete with equipment and activities designed with the development of young and growing bodies in mind. In the early years, Ginny was kept busy with 4 active youngsters at home. In 1968, she decided to accept a position with the Head Start program in Chugiak and worked there for the next 20 years. She enjoyed the children immensely and still does volunteer work for Chugiak Children's Services. Her own children kept her busy and involved in their activities, and she became a Girl Scout leader for a number of years. Ginny tutored for the Literacy Project for 7 years and formed friendships there that have lasted throughout the years. She retired from Head Start in 1988, and Andy retired from Chugiak High School in 1989. Andy still supervised student teachers at CHS for several years and continued to keep in touch with staff and administrators there until his death in 1997. Andy died of heart failure at the age of 68. Their children all remain in Alaska today. Ginny remains involved in church and community activities. In 1993, she became president of the newly formed Chugiak-Eagle River Historical Society and still holds that position today. She lives in the family log home, and daughter Cassie currently resides with her.